Wind and waves has now brought me way southwards.
That's a good 3 meter.
I've passed all of Denmark and the island of Helgoland. During the passage to the Netherlands,
something is leaking a lot.
A big, frustrating diesel leakage slowly occurred under the floorboards of Tessie. I was very happy to enter calm Dutch waters.
Smooth sailing.
But of course, not completely free of drama.
The engine is about to collapse on me. Close the vent for the diesel tank.
Eventually, I could enter the crowded but safe harbor of Vlieland. Here I could figure out what was causing the leakage.
Something is leaking here. And it's leaking bad.
The diesel leakage came from a crack in the stainless steel tank. I managed to patch it up with some duct tape.
Looks like I managed to stop it. That's the most important.
I needed to keep going southwards through the lakes of the Netherlands, as I had to be in Amsterdam for the big tall ship event SAIL Amsterdam, and a presentation to do in Muiden, just a couple of days away.
So I did this for a year maybe. So welcome to another video. I'm anchored just outside Vlieland. Beautiful place, crowded with boats, so many nice people to meet. Really cool. And over here they anchor and have enjoying the hot weather. And I've been blessed with a diesel leakage, so I've been working my butt off to get rid of it all. Got it into cans and they were nice enough to let me put it on shore. So the boat is free of diesel now. I've tried to seal off the leakage with some duct tape, but it doesn't work very well, but it's damage control. It doesn't leak as much as it without the tape. But let's look at the menu of this video. That's getting to Scheveningen in between all the Boyd channels, through the sluizes to Enkhuizen, then further on to Muiden. And Muiden, that is where the SAIL Amsterdam starts, with all the sail ships passing by, and I will join in with the fleet with Tessie. Stay tuned for this one. And of course, subscribe to my channel, leave a like and a comment if you enjoy this. That's very good for supporting my channel. And also watch Instagram and Facebook. Let's go!
In beautiful and maybe a little too hot weather, a still working but noisy gearbox, 2 drones down with 1 left working, a still leaky diesel tank, and a somewhat working coffee machine. Tessie found her way through the buoys closing in to Scheveningen.
It's getting busy here as we close up to Scheveningen. The fishing boat is looking really busy.
The buoyed sound was packed with traffic of all kinds. I really enjoyed watching what is called a sailing barge, chalk or scoot. Excuse me if that's the wrong description of these vessels.
And here we got a sailboat and a trimaran. Really cool. It's so much to see as you go through the buoyed channels there. Amazing. So we're now past Scheveningen and we are on our way pretty much south towards the first lock, sluice. And it's downwind, so I think it's time to kill that engine, give it some pause and get that sail out. That's much better. So you can see the buoys around here. They're moving them as the sandbanks moves as well. And sometimes they actually move the buoys around as the sandbanks shift. So you better, it's not always correct on the chart, as that is not updated close enough to the movement of all the buoys, because that can happen fast. Use your eyes and watch the buoys. There we go. Alrighty then, that's the locks. So we need to take in our sails and get some fenders out and some lines and get ready. A little bit worried since I'm alone, but I came through the Caledonian Canal 19 locks alone, so I think I can do this one. Shoes on. steer by hand in here.
This is the sluice of Kornwerderzand.
That's the locks.
It takes you from the ocean and into the huge lake of IJsselmeer. I'll happily admit I had no idea how this sluice thing worked. But I was soon to learn how quickly things moved around here. While tying up, I did not pick up the green light switching on at the sluice gate and the locks opening.
Suddenly we're off again. Things happens fast here.
Just when I thought I nailed it, karma came in hot for not paying enough attention.
Oh, they just closed the bridge. I was just moored, then they opened the bridge.
Now, the sluice master instructed us to tie up to one of the pillars sticking out of the water to wait for the next run. Fair game. Easy peasy, I thought. It turned out to be one of those days when things just don't seem to go as smooth. Getting that line around the bollard seemed so easy, but for some reason I messed it up. What the heck, we'll just go again. After a long hot day of sailing, I just had to vent it off a bit and go again for a third try. How hard can it be? Just get the line around the bollard and there we go. Or not. Let's just watch the time for a bit. Do another vent off and go again for the fourth attempt. Finally, with some planning of the lines, Tessie got moored up. Now it's just to pretend that nothing happened.
So we all are just hanging around and waiting for the locks to open over there. Cool.
The sluice master now reported a mechanical failure to the bridge, but it would just be a couple of hours fix. Again, it was just one of those days.
And suddenly the bridge opened. 10, 11 o'clock. Pitch dark. It's a lot of boats going in here now. Looks pretty full.
The IJsselmeer lies about 40 centimeters below ocean level, making it a quick drop before we can take in the lines and proceed into the big lake.
So welcome to IJsselmeer, Lake of IJsselmeer. So I decided to swing into Makkum, the city of Makkum. It's pitch dark and I'm just lining for boys around here, navigation boys. The radar is fantastic to use here, really. I'm just tied up in Makkum. I just stole a place here, don't know exactly where I am in the harbor, but it was a free spot there. And let's turn on the light. And there we go, daylight in Makkum Marina. And what do you know, I was lucky enough to get somebody knocked on my boat this morning and they gave me exactly what I needed. This is some epoxy thing that you can squeeze together, and it's two component and you clash it onto the damage on the diesel tank. So hopefully this will make the trick, at least back to Norway. So with that, I have 80 nautical miles to go to Muiden if I want to join the SAIL Amsterdam tomorrow, starting the cortege with sail ships starting tomorrow morning from Muiden, going through the North Sea Canal. So I want to be there tomorrow morning, and it's 80 miles from here to there. So that's a full day of sailing, I guess. So I will just pop my tank full again, and yeah, it's good to burn all the diesel through the engine rather than just leaking it out in the boat, right? So let's go. Most important meal of the day. entrance. What is funny in the IJsselmeer, there's no tidal water here, high water or low water, it's just flat, so you don't have to tend to that.
A breeze picked up on my stern, sending me southwards across this huge inland lake. It's only 3-4 meters of depth, mostly all over. That means you can enjoy flat waters even in a stiff breeze. But I bet the lake has its challenging days as well. Anyway, this was for sure one of the good days.
It is hot around these waters, and I'm using the engine for full power to burn out the diesel to get the diesel level below the crack point on the tank, so I can do a quick fix when I get to Muiden.
It felt like crossing an open sea, with only the ocean line in the horizon. That's what's particularly special with IJsselmeer.
Since it's SAIL Amsterdam, I made this birdie for the bow, just to celebrate the event.
I wanted to stop by Enkhuizen, as rumors said it was worth exploring. It did not disappoint. A nice couple, which also turned out to be one of my followers, invited me to tie up to their boat while checking out the village. This beautiful ancient city was once an important harbour for shipping goods to the other side of the world. The East Indian Shipping Company frequented with their fleet here around year 1600. Picturesque architecture roams around every street and draws thousands of tourists every year. Rivers, locks, bridges and sounds runs everywhere around the city, creating quite the experience for a visit. The time went fast and we needed to get moving.
Wow, that was an incredible port, marina, and city, a village or whatever it is.
It's better for you.
Yeah, it is. So now we're off to Amsterdam, or Muiden, as close as possible. And we are there about 10 o'clock tonight, I think. All by engine, of course, to drain that tank.
We were now passing the second sluice to get from IJsselmeer and into Makkum.
There we go.
This is actually a bridge with a highway going under it. Pretty cool. After a sketchy departure, we made our entrance to Makkum, which is slightly lower than IJsselmeer.
We're back to full sails. An engine, of course, to drain the tank. But look at this beautiful surroundings here. Wow.
The Makkum is about 2.5 to 3 meters deep, making it a surreal feeling sailing in 7 knots, with only a few centimeters under the keel.
I got some cookies from one of my followers back in Enkhuizen, Judith and cheers. Thank you so much, it was really good.
We were hauling southwards across the lake, passing landmark after landmark. I know Tiger and Teddy enjoyed every bit of the view, and soon enough the outline of Amsterdam came clear.
It's always time for a quick cold shower before you reach Amsterdam by sail, isn't it? I'm dirty as hell. Orange boat, orange t-shirt. What else? And it's a bit Dutch color, royal colors as well, isn't it?
I couldn't ask for a better day to enter this enormous busy metropole. To my big surprise, a woman was left drifting, being out of gasoline. I towed her to safety and helped her with some fuel, and off I went into the last sluices before Amsterdam.
So that's us in Amsterdam officially, no more locks. And we're gonna follow the North Sea Canal up to Doorman, my friend. Doorman is from here, and I'm gonna find them and tie up outside their boat.
It's a spectacular sight sailing up the North Sea Canal, and I will visit this huge Dutch Navy ship a bit later. Stay tuned.
What an amazing place to sail and to be with my little plastic boat. Oh, that's Scheveningen Marina. I've been there 22 years ago, over there. Beautiful marina. So we're here, and I'm going to meet Jerome. I'm going to put my boat outside their boat to be ready for tomorrow. So let's just find them. It's a lot of boats here. Wow.
In the maze of boats, I eventually found Jeroen's boat. Jeroen runs the Sailloft Sail Select, which sells Rolly Tasker sails in Netherlands. That's how I know him. And he was kind enough to offer me to tie up to his boat, although he was not on board when I arrived, so his family greeted me.
So we're here at Amsterdam, ready for SAIL Amsterdam. The ships are coming in 1 hour, 10 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock now. And I just tied up to Jeroen's boat, my good friend. And we're gonna go out together. And there's even a Contessa 35 moored up beside me. And he's going to join the Contessa rally in 1 week in Sint, Annaland. So I'm really excited for this. Let's see what's coming here now. Okay, so we just let the lines go, and SAIL Amsterdam is piling up here. It's crazy. It's hundreds of boats in all directions. So I put my fenders out, and we'll see how tight this gets. A little stressed to be alone, but I'm gonna try my best to steer and film for you guys to get the experience of what in the world this is. It is amazing. Wow, all those beautiful boats.
So what in the world is SAIL Amsterdam? Well, it's a massive free-access maritime festival held every 5 years where historic tall ships and modern vessels sail into Amsterdam's harbour. This year I heard almost 10,000 boats were participating in the parade. And it's an absolute crazy show I wouldn't miss for the world. This was the very reason for me sailing all the way down here. To be right here on this spot when the start shot of SAIL Amsterdam 2025 fired off just beside me. The beautiful sailing ships came in from all over the world. And I was flabbergasted it was possible to sail this close to these huge creations. Apart from the amazing view, I was also glad to not be the only one wearing an orange shirt. I think I'd come to the right place.
There's just thousands and thousands of people watching this from both edges of the canal. It's crazy. And so many people have greeted me from the boats, obviously recognizing me from YouTube. So that's incredible to come to a completely new place and be recognized that much. Wow, thank you.
I sped up a bit to overtake the rest of the fleet, to get in front of the real big sail ships. On the other hand, things got really crammed.
So this is absolute chaos, look at this. There's boats everywhere. Glad I have my fenders out.
As everybody else also wanted to get close to the sail ships, watching the big sail ships slowly find their way along the North Sea Canal. and now we were closing up to the center of Amsterdam.
So we have passed the fleet of the sail ships now, and it was intense and beautiful. It was kind of stressful at times, very tight spots between the other boats, but we managed, so everyone's alive, and what an experience. Just arrived city center of Amsterdam now, and we are waiting for the ships to come in here, and it must be hundreds of thousands of people everywhere in the city, everywhere. I've never seen this many people, so being a part of this is actually insane. Wow. Started out in Enkhuizen, my little small town in Enkhuizen, and now we're here, and I'm not gonna crash. Well, don't crash. And for the schedule tomorrow, I might be invited on board this big military ship by the captain himself, and then it's the lecture in the Royal Yacht Club in Muiden in the evening. So yeah, it's a tight schedule, but I love it.
Now it was time to get back to Muiden, just an hour sailing away. The Muidenslot Castle is proudly guarding the Royal Netherlands Yacht Club, which has been here since 1847 and is the oldest yacht club in the Netherlands. The King of Netherlands, King Willem-Alexander, has his boat, the Groene Drak, or the Green Dragon, based here. But this week he was busy joining the SAIL Amsterdam with his beautiful boat.
So that's us all tied up in Muiden Yacht Club. I guess we're ready for a lecture. Sold out, 80-90 people on the second floor here. Tomorrow at 1800.
But first, an important fix.
So the diesel is below the damage point now of the tank. And there's a pretty long crack just here. I don't know if you can see it, but... And this is some epoxy glue that I got from Andrew in Makkum. Thank you very much. And I will now try to work it out and slap it on the damage and see if it holds. The white and green is two components. And you are supposed to mix it together like this. Probably until you get one color. Here goes nothing.
The stuff actually worked wonders, and the tank was sealed for the rest of the trip. It was quite the experience to do my talk my way to the ocean for a full house in King Willem-Alexander's yacht club.
So I did this for a year maybe.
A big thank you to Makkum, who made it all happen. The following day I was ready to explore the largest ship in the Dutch Navy fleet, the joint support ship Karel Doorman.
So I'm waiting at the gangway for the Karel Doorman here. It's a huge military ship. And yeah, let's explore it. Let's see what this is.
And I was about to be shown around by no other than the captain of the ship himself, Captain Rob Houwel. Karel Doorman is a purpose-built multifunction support ship and the largest ship ever built in Romania at the Doorman yard in Galati. Stretching 204 meters by 30 meters wide, this ship can carry an enormous amount of cargo to support in any high-risk situation around the world. At her stern, she has a sea-based operations platform to launch and recover different kinds of amphibious vessels. There are large hospital facilities on board with 20 treatment areas and even 2 surgery rooms. The ship can accommodate 300 personnel, of which 159 are the ship's crew. From the engine control room, they monitor the diesel generators, providing together 8.3 megawatts, which is enough to power up a city. As a former first officer on offshore supply ships, I felt right at home at Karel Doorman's commando central on the bridge. But today the ship acted as an educational platform for a big curious audience visiting SAIL Amsterdam. The Dutch Navy is constantly looking to recruit new young personnel to aim in and join into the future. And this incredible ship sure knew how to spike some interest. A big thank you again to Captain Rob Howell for showing me all this. Now it was time to get heading southwards to the last event of this adventure. I passed through the locks at Muiden, which led me back into the North Sea. My plan was now to head south to a small place called Sint Annaland to participate in the Benelux Contessa rally, as I'm a proud owner of my beloved Contessa 35, Tessie.
Welcome back to the North Sea. It feels good to be in seawater again. That's the natural habit for Tessie. Even here there's a bunch of people sitting and waiting for the big ships to come out of the locks. Cool. So we are on our way, leaving Newport, and look behind me here, we have company. Another Contessa 35 joining the Sint Annaland Contessa rally in a couple of days. So we're probably gonna stick together all the way to Sint Annaland. Nice with some company.
It was the first time I was able to sail side by side with another Contessa 35. We kept about the same speed, although Jan Hein was a little bit faster than me. I blame it on Tessie being a little bit heavier due to all the onboard equipment.
And we are closing in to Scheveningen over here, entrance over here. Beautiful weather, almost 30 degrees in the air. And I couldn't find my cap, so I used this winter hat to protect me from the sun. It's really burning on my bald head. Let's find our way in here, check it out. Looks very serious. No fooling around here. So we are all tied up in Scheveningen. And it's beautiful here, and it's really hot, like 30 degrees I think. And we have a cool invitation from Team Yayu. They are sailing a V65 just over here. They're going to trade tonight, and they asked us if we wanted to come tonight. That's going to be awesome. Wow.
Both me and Jan Hein was thrilled to be on board with the young Captain Jelmer van Meek. The racing machine was already doing good speed, with only using the mainsail leaving port. The city of Scheveningen was swiftly disappearing behind us. And before we knew it, it was on. The boat was already doing 14 knots of boat speed in 26 knots of relative wind. I really wanted to experience life under deck.
So I'm in the bow compartment of the boat now, and it is noisy. We're doing 30 knots on against the wind, attacking against the wind. It's crazy. It is crazy. Here we can see when they prepare their meal over here, and guys are really out sailing now. Look at that. So yeah, about 22 knots of wind, full sails. Incredible.
I was amazed of how quickly we left the coast behind us. England would just be some few hours away if we kept on going like this. And this was even the boat underpowered. Normally it would fly a large jib in these conditions. We turned back towards shore on a beam reach. Before it was all over, I really wanted to steer the boat to feel her. The adrenaline instantly set in when I felt all these powers between my fingertips. And suddenly it was all over just as fast as it started. Big thank you to Adriano for setting us up with this unforgettable opportunity.
So that was Scheveningen. Amazing place, and thank you for the ride, Team Yayu, on the V65 yesterday. That was amazing. So that's the mainsail up, and we are jumping over the waves on headwinds. Lucky shot. Full sails onwards and forwards. Great.
We now approached another set of locks taking us from the North Sea and back into the canals of the south part of Netherlands.
So here we are at the locks. So we went about 1.20 meters down, and then gates are opening. We're now well into the sounds or the canals of south of Amsterdam. It's incredibly beautiful there. And over here is my sailing friend Jan Hein and his Contessa, but he just pulled out his Genoa now, so I have to do that too. It's always that little feeling of competition, although it's not, but it is.
The wind didn't last for long, so we had to motor the last miles into a new beautiful place to spend the night.
So, closing in to Willemstad.
A narrow canal leads into the little harbour called Willemstad. And what a beautiful place to take a breath and spend the night. The safe harbour is neatly tucked into the centre of the city. The whole place is actually built inside a big fortress dating back to 1583. From a bird's eye view, you can clearly see the heptagon star-like shape of the fortress surrounding the city. The next morning came in fast, and it carried us straight into the last somewhat claustrophobic sluice, on our way to our last destination.
So on our way to Sint Annaland. It's only a couple of hours sailing now, and that's the last endpoint of this expedition. And it's been crazy, so I'm really looking forward to see all the Contessas now. Now, after 870 nautical miles sailed from Norway, we can finally see our end destination, Sint Annaland, over here. Amazing, we're here. So as we close into Sint Annaland, we can see the Contessas piling up behind me here now. 126 foot, 132, and us two 35s. So let's see what's going on into the port here.
It felt good to finally be here, after some last stressful but yet very interesting days.
Thank you.
Now we could relax and just let time pass to enjoy the Benelux Contessa rally. It was such fun to see over 30 Contessa boats all lined up at the pier. This is the Contessa 32, maybe the most popular and most sold. And this is another 35, looking just like mine, before I painted it orange. And here's a 34, which is the first one I've ever seen. All in all, absolutely beautiful boats. I met all the owners at an evening dinner, and at the final day there was the regatta, which we all had waited for.
So the race is on, and I have my crew here. Govert, sorry. And yeah, we are heading out to the start line, and let's see how it goes.
I'll again happily admit I have no experience or idea about regatta rules, as my greatest passion is to cross big oceans single-handed from A to B. Luckily, Govert is a regatta enthusiast, so I let him take the control and give the advices needed to get Tessie going. We did some practicing to get to know each other and the boat together. And then we crossed the start line, and it was on. It was great to see Govert trimming and adjusting the lines to keep the pace up. We got up to the rounding mark and got some perfect generator conditions back downwind towards the finish line outside Sint Annaland. At last we reached the finish line. I think we ended up in last place, but it's at least a place, right?
That was fun and exhausting at one time, but we survived. So thank you, Sint Annaland Marina. That was an amazing stay, an amazing regatta. I'd never done a regatta before, so it was a big learning curve for me to learn how to get the boat to go a little bit faster. I was the last boat in the race, but anyway, it's all for fun, and it's a lot to learn. Bye bye. So yeah, now we're going to the last destination of this trip, and that's Sachkinsee. Sorry, it's here. So we are sailing together now, me and 2 other Contessas, and yeah, I'm first now. Let's see how long that lasts. These guys are a little bit better at trimming than me, and now they're coming. So it's getting serious now. We are on a line, and I'm actually overtaking them back and forth. So I'm curious to see how it ends.
So I guess the race was on again. I was thrilled to overtake Jan Hein on his Dutch boat, but kept a steady distance to the Germans ahead. Focusing on sailing on a regatta and flying a drone close to a contender almost turned out to be a bad idea, but it ended well, so I guess it was a good idea. At least it resulted in some great pictures closing into the bridge ahead.
On the clock!
This journey had now ended in a beautiful city in the southern part of this vast landscape.
Good morning from Zierikzee in South Netherlands. I'm here to prepare Tessie now for getting home again to Norway. The journey is over and it's time to get home, but that will be in the next video, sailing from Zierikzee 500 miles to back to Enkhuizen, Norway. And I miss Silje and my son Martin, and it's going to be great to come home now after 1 month at sea, or in the locks at least of Netherlands. And alright, see you in the next video.
Don't miss next video.
That's a big one.
It will be another windy, challenging ordeal for sure.
Okay, let's see what this days have to bring.
Check out my NBJS merchandise following the link in the video description. Maybe you'll find your Christmas present. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Support me becoming my patron, or make any donation on PayPal. Subscribe, like and make a comment on this video for the algorithms, and I'll see you within a couple of weeks.
I feel excited.